Hi, everyone. Welcome to Frank Fridays. We're super excited to have you guys here today on this amazing Friday. I'm Ellie Hayworth, as you guys know, and I am joined by Karline Moeller, the founder of Art Frankly. Hi, Karline.
Oh, hello, Ellie, and happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday to you. We're really excited because today we have an amazing, really multi-hyphenate arts professional. Ashley Ouderkirk is joining us today. And Ashley really covers her bases in the art world. She's an independent writer, a curator in residence with Kuhnstrom in Brooklyn, and has been an independent art advisor for a number of times, or rather for a number of years. So Ashley, we're excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is such a great opportunity to chat with both of you.
So maybe the best place to start is, can you just tell us a little bit about your prior professional experience? What were you doing before you came to art and really kind of took to freelance work in the art world?
I think the easiest place to start is to say that I did start as an art history major in undergrad, and then I received my MA as well, and interned at a couple museums, worked at a museum. I kind of, like most people in the art world, went broke, and I had to pivot to pay my very expensive student loans. And, the best way to tell the story is I was working at a museum, and as you do when you work at museums, you do have to volunteer to have some time to work at the galas, help with the fundraising opportunities as much as you can. And my role in this particular time was to check guests in. So as I'm sitting there checking in all the guests, you have their name, their spouse's name, and the company they work for. And I'm reading the company names, and like every other name is a bank or some kind of fund. And then one of them was like this thing called a hedge fund. And I'm like, what is a hedge fund? And I to just like work at one of these places and then just go to the galas and enjoy art this way instead of like struggling. This was, the period where I was really in a financial difficulty time. And I went home and I Googled hedge fund, and I started applying. I happened to apply to like a headhunter kind of place.
Sure.
And got there and had a great interview. And even before I had the interview, because I was so early, take the elevator up with the owner of the recruiting agency. And I had like an informal interview on the way up, unbeknownst to me. And and he just really liked me, and he pushed me forward. And I ended up interviewing with all of the top hedge funds in the city, landed a job at one of the top 20 firms in the world. Working as an administrative assistant for the equity trading team, both the research and trading desk. So, and I worked like all through the rest of my 20s and into my 30s.
Well, then tell us, at what point do you have this kind of inflection point or this moment where you say, I'm going to start putting my feelers back out there into the creative world? Like, what was that kind of moment for you that drove you back to the creative fields?
So I think in fairness, I always wanted to return to art. Like I had in my mind that, I will work here for 5 years and I'll make some money and then I'll go immediately right back. But, when you start planning, life takes different turns. And this was like right financial crisis. And I happened to be working at the firm when the whole like financial industry like melted down.
Yeah.
And, a lot of my colleagues got laid off, and I was like, maybe this is not the best time to pivot to the art world. So I happened to not get laid off and I stayed, but I always wanted to like keep one foot in the door. And I got lucky because one of my like bosses and colleagues, when he found out that I was finishing my thesis, my master's thesis, he's like, well, my mom owns a gallery. You should talk to her. And I was like, that's amazing. So he connected me with his mom, and I helped her out on a lot of projects on the side. So, the markets close at 4 p.m. and I would leave at like 4:15 and go down to Chelsea and out in the gallery from like 8:30 to 7:30. Various like little research projects, like secondary market stuff, or writing bios, or even helping with like a little bit of art handling and stuff. So I had like an internship / consulting role in her gallery in, oh God, 2017, I think it is. I got laid off, and I had that moment where I was like, I think this is the last time where I will be able to make a full pivot back to art. Again, I went and spoke with my friend who owned the gallery, and she was like, I'm working on this really big show and you should get in on it, and you should be the assistant curator. And at that point, I never curated anything in my life. I had only done research and writing and stuff. And, I just jumped on that opportunity. I'm like, absolutely, I'll help you with the show. And that was my way back in.
I love that. I feel like at the end of the day, the art world is such a relationship driven industry. And I, just having these kind of conversations over the course of many, many Frank Fridays, it's just so interesting to hear people's storylines and how a lot of the times it really is like, early mentors that are kind of busting doors in and allowing different, access. And so it's exciting to hear that you were able to find your way back to art.
Yeah, it's all about who you know. And I feel like all of the relationships that I've made have helped me and kind of guided me on my little windy path through the art world again and again. Like, you never know like what someone's going to introduce you to once you meet them and talk to them. And it's great. It's exciting. It's like a constant energy that's given to your career as you meet new people.
Ashley, I love the windy road that you've taken. It's I always, when I'm speaking with younger professionals, tell them to keep doors open and walk through them when you can, because you have no clue what's going to happen when you do. So I guess with that being said, what has been more challenging than expected for you in this pivot back to the art world?
Yeah, I think the most challenging thing has honestly been money, like figuring out make a living off of this. I came from a low income background before I started working at the hedge fund, and I was fortunate enough to be able to pay off quite a bit of my debt and also save quite a bit of money. So it made it easier for me to be able to pivot back to art, because I've been living with my savings for the most part for the last couple of years to get like my footing in the art world and build relationships and start building my own independent practice in curation and art writing and advisory. I'm still learning like how to make this a business. And I think, and that's also one of the things that I talk to artists a lot about too, when I'm helping them advising. It's like, yes, this is a business. You have to think of it like a business from some aspects. And it's hard because you don't want to compromise certain parts of your practice, and artists feel the same way as well. So I'm looking for that balance still. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to do my best to help artists and, lift them up and make their careers more visible, but at the same time, try to find an income for myself to make this like a sustainable career and real. And I think that's something that's not really talked about enough. Like, I think people are really good at like explaining all of the amazing things they're doing, but they're not really that great at explaining how they are making the money, like how they're making a living off of it. And I think for me, that's been one of the biggest challenges, to try to find like someone to emulate who does that well. So always looking, but I think I'm going to figure it out. I really do.
I think you will too. And I think that's something that we all, are challenged with constantly. I mean, the art world is shrouded for many reasons, and the lack of transparency is frustrating. But you start chipping away at it one step at a time, one chip at a time. So I guess, I know that art and finance are two totally different animals, but have you seen any similarities between the worlds? What's the most glaring difference? I mean, I think we all have our idea about that, but since you have direct experience, tell us what you think.
There are a lot of differences. Probably one of the biggest ones is I went from working with mostly men to now working more with women. A lot of the artists I work with are women. I would say another difference is the the pace in finance is insanely quick. You know, I would be managing like volume of over 200 emails a day. The phone was always ringing because I had the trading lines going. So there's always like a lot of chaos, and you had to like be really good at the stop, go, and pivot between projects really quickly, which is just something you get the hang of after you do it for a few years, and you kind of learn to tune out the noise that's going on the trading floor around you. I find one of the most useful things that I acquired from working in finance is the ability to learn to work with different types of personalities. That has been the most helpful thing I have acquired. So you have people from all different backgrounds who have all different skill types, like people who are extraordinarily charismatic, and then people who are also like more particular and strict with the way that they want things. And being able to like navigate that, plus kinder people versus not so kind people, has been very helpful in the art world. You know, I've yet to meet an artist as challenging as some of the people that I worked for in the past. And also the organizational skills that I acquired from working, because I started as an administrative assistant. So being able to manage calendars, time management, calendar management, anything where you are working the schedule and keeping things in line, that has been so helpful as a curator to be able to see things step by step. And everything project management related, I have completely used everything I learned as a curator now.
Interesting. Ego management, something we all deal with.
Ego management and project management, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I do feel like, the art world is notorious for some big personalities as well. So I'm sure there is some carryover, but no, I imagine the hedge fund world certainly has some amplified personalities.
Yeah, and I'm very lucky I work for like really great people. So I didn't have a lot of negative experiences that, you read about in the tabloids and stuff, but and the same with the artists too. I've never really had one of those experiences, hopefully never. But yeah, just working with any type of ego, even if it's extreme or mild, is, it's a managing thing, and we all have egos. So never want to hurt feelings or like overhype them. You always want to like maintain a balance and a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Well, this has been really great. And we always love to showcase different types of kind of careers in the art world. And I think this was definitely a unique conversation. So Ashley, we really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Ellie.